It's real. That's what's really heartbreaking about this. Okay, hang on. Let me just move this over here. Okay, so that's today, the market in a snapshot.
Yeah, that's what's called a heat map.
Hmm.
And I can give you a link to that too, so you can
Oh,
have.
thanks.
Yeah,
Could you?
I'll drop that in that channel too.
You know, that's what I love about you. Many things I love about you, my friendship with you, is that the things that I don't have, you have, like stuff like this. It's like I still do it manually, old lady style. And you're like, here, I got this. And you drop it. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. You're probably like, oh my gosh, where's she been under a rock?
No, I'm
No.
not like that.
Um,
Come on.
so anyway, so thank you for sharing that. So there's going to be more of that, and then the experts are no longer experts, and they're trying to be experts again, and it's just they're just throwing spaghetti in the wall again. I guess it's our conversation hasn't changed much. And then the DTCC, they're not putting up their papers anymore after you showed that document, Marcel. Last
Oh,
time
is
we
that
had a pop.
surprising?
I know, a little shocked.
Hold on. I'm gonna faint. Give me a second.
Mm,
Just a
yep.
sec.
Okay.
Here I go. I'm
There
fainting.
you go. Fade,
Oh,
fade.
ow, ow, my shin. I'm okay. I'm okay.
You're such a goof. No, but it's true. I mean, my gosh, so there's going to be, I guess, I think more and more of that. And again, it's just me as an investor. My husband opened up our account, and then I looked at it and I was like, "Is that for one stock?" He goes, "No, that's collectively." And I'm like, "Oh, I think I'll walk away." And but then it's just like being patient because I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to see any of that. There's like a couple that did good, but I didn't want to see any of the, where we are today from where we were like what, a year or 2 years ago. And he just happened to have it open. I was watching it, so I was like, okay, but I know it's all going to pick up. So everything's going to start looking on the up and up. And
Oh yeah, for sure.
well, you
It,
see, and that's another thing. I think a lot of the technologies that will get released with the NESARA is going to put a lot of these other stocks out of business. The those that are involved with utilities or anything to do with energy, if those technologies start to come out, and these corporations are trying so hard to prevent all of this from coming out to help humanity, that those corporations will start to fall apart and become a penny stock. How interesting.
yeah, there's a lot of heavy bleeding, so to speak. That's going to be happening here.
Mm,
We're really not that far off from some serious downturn in the market.
mm,
You can just tell. You can just everything's falling. It's so funny because I get people in my channel all the time that, it feels like forever. And I mean, number one, you got to think about it like this. It's not playing in the stock market is not a scratch ticket. You've got
mm,
to think bigger. You can't think everything is instant gratification because it's just not.
mhm.
Um, and so you have to keep in mind that it takes time. They're going to fight. They are going to fight because quite literally, it's like their livelihood. They're everything. We're going to just destroy all of it. And
Mhm.
of course, they're going to fight. They've got billions and billions of dollars, just like we talked about last time with Kenny G. Buying that $100 million house in Florida because of the way the laws work down there. That you've got to think that they're planning to go down. That's literally what they're planning to do. They're planning to go down. They know it's happening,
Mhm.
and so they're going to fight. And it's not always going to be easy, and it's not always going to be simple. And you have to understand that that's just the nature of the game.
Yeah.
So, but the problem is for them, not for us. The problem for them is the fact that their house of cards is slowly coming apart piece by piece. We are pulling that proverbial piece of yarn on that friggin' cable knit sweater. We are yarding on that thing. We hooked it up to a winch and we're just reefing on it. This is all Maine slang, by the way. Reefing. Reefing
Yeah,
means to really pull on it hard.
yeah.
Um,
Re
but
reefing out
if
here would be
we,
something different.
yeah, we are yeah, right. Yeah, some people might think it's something different, which is fine. Whatever. We do a lot of that up here too. Uh, we were one of the first that was legal, by the way. Uh,
Oh,
but yeah, I mean, we are pulling apart every little piece, and for people who are like nothing's happening,
yeah,
you can't think that. You just can't. You have your eyes completely closed, and I'm not talking just in the markets and just in the AMC play. I'm talking geopolitically. I'm talking worldwide, everything. If you think that nothing is happening, you are not aware at all. You're not paying attention. You're not looking. You're not watching, because there is so many different things, with the markets, the FTX, the SB, Sam Bankman-Fried, all these different little pieces. If nothing was happening, if they had full control, there is no way we would have even heard about any of that. We wouldn't have
right.
heard about it. We wouldn't have seen it. Nobody would have known. All that billionaire that just shot himself.
I know.
Um,
Isn't that
you know,
crazy?
he was a friend of the Clintons. I don't know if
Yeah,
you know that billionaire. Did you hear about that? Yeah,
yeah.
he
He
was a
was.
friend of the Clintons. So oh hey, what happened there?
Mm,
But anyways, I mean, there's a lot of these different little pieces that we are seeing the fruits of. Basically, we are seeing the fruits of the work that we're doing. Basically, I mean, we are not allowing them to win. It's killing them. It's absolutely killing them. Um,
right.
and it's just a matter of time, and we've got to remain patient. We've got to be strong, and all these negative articles, all this, calling AMC trash, all these different things, all that does is it just makes my conviction that much stronger. It just makes it that much stronger.
Mm. What is this, Marcel?
I agree with you guys, basically on what you're saying here. If people believe that nothing's happening in the stock market or everything looks healthy in the market and we're going to see 500 on the SPY anytime soon, it's because of a lack of education and ignorance to the actual underlying factors that affect the market.
Hmm.
What we're seeing here is the revised gross domestic product figures for the fourth quarter of 2022 from the Bureau of Economic Analysis. And this shows that core PCE index, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, was higher than previously estimated. It rose at a 4.3% annualized rate, up from their earlier estimate of 3.9%. So much like the jobs figures that were stated to be millions and ended up being, minuscule, under 100,000. The same thing is happening with inflation, except in the opposite direction. Instead of it being lower at the earlier estimate of 3.9%, it actually rose at 4.3% annualized.
Hmm.
And core inflation, which was originally reported at 4.7%, has been proven to actually be at 4.8% year over year as well. So the Bureau of Economic Analysis, their estimates are always wrong. They're always trying to, make the things look better than they actually are. And it's
Hmm.
proven here when they come out with the real data. The increase in real GDP in the fourth quarter reflected increases in private inventory, consumer spending, non-residential fixed investment, etc. They said the GDP estimate released today is based on more complete source data than were available in the advanced estimate issued last month. In the advanced estimate, the increase in real GDP was 2.9%. So as you can see here, also the real GDP increased at an annual rate of 2.7% in the fourth quarter of 2022, according to the second estimate released by them. In the third quarter, it was 3.2%. So again, they stated it was 3.9, but it was actually 4.3. The PCE index was firmer than expected. Core inflation was higher than expected and higher than estimated. It just proves that the Fed is not doing enough with their actual current raises in the market. And I think it's a real critical shift in finance that's been playing out behind the scenes.
Hmm.
Trillions of dollars in financial assets that were once held by bankers is almost now completely in the hands of the Federal Reserve, and
Hmm.
they're using this lengthy attempt to eradicate risk from the financial system, and we're really approaching the climax of that here shortly. It was a panic reaction to the 2008 subprime loan crisis, and it's transformed the way that financial entities do business. The great financial crisis was a real crucial turning point in how the banks perceived risk. And
Yeah.
after decades of working on the flawed assumption that an ecosystem built on complexity was indestructible, they changed their perception and realized that no longer believing in the fiction that lending between banks had become riskless, they saw a system, full of peril. The major flaw of finance, where protection turns into the thing that actually prompts the meltdown, had even threatened the most systemically important benchmark. In August of 2007, one of the most critical interest rate, Libor, had detached from its counterparts, and that same number was used to price over $300 trillion in financial products. Libor is the London interbank offered rate, I believe. Go ahead.
What's fascinating is this is that like I call these reports that we've been looking at now that we know like fake news,
Yeah.
fake reports, because they were trying so hard to deceive the average American, the average person, the individual investor. And how they what is I heard, was it Market Watch? Yeah, Market Watch got paid like six figures to make sure they could sway articles in light of like kind of course favoring the big guys, the big banks, and then now I've just noticed a couple of times they snuck in a couple of articles that were anti big banks, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe they didn't get paid their six figures. They didn't pay up. But I just think that all these reports are just horrible, horrible. I mean, and not talking about the financial markets, but I'm talking about, let's say, Dr. Burks, that scarf lady.
Yeah.
She intentionally deceived Trump by giving him data that she manipulated from the CDC, and the CDC was in on it. So it's everything is I mean, and then Trump's speech about him taking down everything, including the Pentagon, over the next 4 years, that's pretty huge. So we've just been lied to about everything. And it's the apes that have kept me sane when it comes to investing. Really. I mean, I'd look at apes and sometimes I'd read like these teenagers. I just bought 10 more shares because I got my dad gave me some money. So I thought I'd buy 10 more shares. And then I think I'm learning from this 18-year-old. I think it's so cool. But, and all of you, that's really helped me out because, and Aaron, I have to say, my gosh, you've helped me tremendously. And so thank you because you are the ones that have kept it real for
Thank you
us.
as
And
well.
if
Appreciate you.
well, if nothing is happening, yeah, well, some people are saying, and I'm talking a lot more NESARA lately because it's tying into some of the technologies that are going to be released as part of NESARA, and people are still saying, oh, that's not going to happen, that's not going to happen. It's like, well, how do you explain that flying bike we just saw? And how do you explain all of these other signs that are going on about, okay, I'm going to share one. I went to the bank, or we have a contact, and she's been kind of helping us, and she's like, you'll notice some changes at your bank, and I'm like, oh yeah, right. So I go over there. There's a new teller. Uh, oh my gosh, it was so awesome. So anyway, I like, oh, I want to go ahead and make a withdrawal, and then she goes, well, you have to come back for that. So I came back the next day, and they said they immediately knew. They didn't know who. I mean. They knew who I was, but they immediately knew, and they said, I'm sorry, we don't have that here. It's going to have to be ordered. And I understand that you want $100 bills for 2017 and newer. And I was like, what the freak was this? And the thing that this last part is I didn't say. It was just like it was very interesting. So anyway, my husband actually went in there and he was like, he only wanted to take out like $1,000, but the ATM wasn't working. And they said to him, oh, it's your money is here. You have to wait for the Loomis truck. He goes, I only want $1,000. And they said, no, your wife came in and she ordered this. And he goes, well, oh no, we want to cancel it. And they're like, well, we want to give it to you. And I'm thinking, what is going on? But it's really interesting because there's new tellers in there, and the ones that I've talked to in my Santa Surfing locals, Ohana, I call them Ohana family. Uh, One of them said he just felt like peaceful. I felt peaceful all three times. So I'm like, who are these new tellers? And it's very interesting, very exciting. But anyway, I totally went squirrel, and I'll let you go back to this, Marcel,
Oh no,
because
that's
we have.
cool. It's interesting to know. Yeah, I had a lot of trouble securing certain, funds from my former ISDA banks as well. You know, and there's,
Well,
touching on what you were saying here, you know, the whole issue with Libor and the credit crisis of 2008 relates right on back to what's happening right now with you know, meme stocks and with money flowing in out of the financial sector. Libor basically was a rate, is a rate that, you know, banks rely on for everything from, you know, business loans to mortgages and student loans. And in 2008, that all just kind of went absolutely crazy. But it shouldn't have been a surprise whatsoever. It's just that people missed, and so did the banks. You know, the real issues at hand here. You know, and began in the 1950s when United Kingdom banks had a lot of financial freedom to finance illicit transactions, and the Bank of England found out, but penalizing the banks meant, you know, hurting global commerce, you know, the GDP and such. And under an agreement with America and other the world's, you know, other financial behemoths, these banks really started to take advantage. United States banks started to set up branches around the world, and non-U.S. banks started setting up branches in America. So you know, money flowed into and out of the UK and United States, as well as, you know, Russia, China, and many other Arab countries, who chose to keep their dollars outside of America, mostly because they were worried that during times of war and sanctions, their money could be frozen. As you guys have seen lately with Russia and China, they had very good reason to believe so. By the 60s, there was this giant offshore dollar system, like the euro dollar. Not the FX pair, but the actual machine that enabled dollar banking outside of America. Even before the petrodollar was called the petrodollar, the US dollar's global reserves were assured. As the euro dollar trade started gaining momentum, you know, they really avoided United States financial regulations and started writing these cross-border loans and profiting huge sums of money to entities that needed United States dollars. For example, Iran was looking for a, what is it, $80 million loan, but needed multiple banks to diversify the risk. And so they secured funds from various banks around the world. And this creates, you know, kind of that intermingled, intertwined situation that we're seeing with banks and, you know, different kinds of you know, debt notes like you see with, you know, Evergrande and such, you know, and other Chinese companies,
the
etc.
whole world's a Ponzi scheme.
It's a giant Ponzi scheme, yeah. And
The whole thing is one giant Ponzi scheme. It's immense. It's crazy. And the thing is like any other Ponzi scheme, it's gonna come down because it only lasts for so long. You could, Marcel, I did have a question for you from one of my people, and that question is: Is Marcel reading from a script, or is he that awesome?
No, I have to write these things down. I can't remember all this shit off the top of my head all the time.
I just said he knows his shit, so
I do know my shit, but I have to write down the more intricate things because I will forget. I'm a fucking stoner.
So, speaking of banks, I got a couple of emails that I want to share real quick. I have pulled just the. Let me grab this screen here real quick, and then you can have it right back.
Oh, it's all good. Pop it up.
Do this right here. That is. You get the right one here. Which screen? I don't think I have the right screen. Share screen and paint. There you go. You got? Can you see this now?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I got an email from my bank, and it said, Aaron, would it be easier to have your personal checking at MSB as well, having everything under one roof, blah, 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 blah. If you'd like to move it, we also have a switch kit to change over, and any automatic payment. They're very helpful about getting me switched over. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I see that.
you know, I'll think about it. And this is a small local bank, so I'd be cool with it, right? And this is the part that I thought was really interesting. She says, okay, thanks. We are really in need of deposits to help maintain our lending capacity on competitive terms. So anything you can do will be much appreciated.
Oh my
Whoa.
gosh.
They're
Oh
just
my
flat out
gosh.
telling you we need your money.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
the liquidity
Oh
all
my God.
over is absolutely, like, guys, it is drying up. It is really drying up all
Yeah.
over, and I talk about it all the time. But I mean, that's I get people to send me that kind of stuff all the time. I mean, it's true. A lot of the liquidity is just drying up right now. So
And and Bank of America, last time we had our show, I didn't really get a chance to show it, but B of A, Moynihan, he was talking about how they're preparing, the B of A is preparing for a default by the beginning of the summer of this year. And so it's like, they're going to have to, they're going to scramble. They can't do this anymore.
A
They
default of the
concocted
treasury.
this whole 07, '08 crisis, and
Yep.
they created it. And then they were the supposedly the people that came to the rescue, but again, they're not going to get a bailout. Oh, but so Brian Moynihan, they are running out of money and they're offering loans. And Zero Hedge posted an article that they bumped the line of credits for credit cards up astronomically. I mean,
Hmm.
there's a chart. I don't have my chart. I can't share any of that. I got some technical issues here, so I can't share anything. But they bumped it up by some ridiculous amount. And I'm thinking they are scrambling. They are hurting. And so if that's the case, oh, okay. So I have this local bank, and I'm in Hawaii. I mean, we don't have a national bank. We don't have B of A. We don't have, and I may not be going on. I might be going off point, guys.
No, you're
So bear
fine.
with me.
You're good.
But the people, it was about 40 people deep. There's only one line, and four or five, actually three or four tellers, and the majority of the people ahead of me were taking out not just a little bit of cash, bulks of cash in envelopes. And I'm thinking, and one was this like 80-year-old lady, and she was getting like three envelopes full. And I'm thinking, gosh, I hope she has somebody with her. And then the other one was some younger man, probably early 20s, and he said all of it. That's all he said. And I'm thinking, are they catching wind on something, or what's going on? So I thought that was kind of interesting. 'Cause the majority, and not everybody, but the majority of the people ahead of me in line were getting bulks of cash out. So this right here, I mean, and then that email right there, where she's telling you they're desperate, they need money. Right? And then if you ask them, hey, are you going through the quantum financial system? They give you a look like you're not supposed to know that. And some might wink, some might not answer. I don't know what you're talking about. Quantum what?
four of
Um,
the banks that I work with
yeah.
just recently, like within a 3 week period, they all underwent system upgrades. Have you guys had any notices from your bank that they're doing system upgrades? There
They,
seems to
they,
be a lot of that going on in the last 3 to 4 weeks. Some
mhm.
something is up with the banks. That is for sure. Um, obviously, if they were in the know on exactly what's happening, they wouldn't say anything anyways. They could,
Nope.
but
Mm-mm. Yeah.
there's definitely something going on. I mean, literally, there's a lot of these quote unquote upgrades. Like four of the five banks that I work with had upgrades over the last 3 to 4 weeks. So I imagine a lot of your viewers, Santa, probably had the same thing, and Marcel, I'm sure a bunch of your people had the same thing happening over the last 3 to 4 weeks. And I bet if we were to do a poll, we'd probably see a vast majority of people that said, "Hey, yeah, my bank just recently changed." It's something you don't think about.
Mhm.
Normally, you're just like, "Oh, it's just an upgrade, whatever." You know what I mean? Or you get the email and you're like, "Man, okay, junk. I don't care."
Mhm.
But with the way like banking and the world and everything is right now, like I pay attention to all that shit now. Like even benign looking emails that I normally just kind of glaze over. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, this is kind of interesting. So I kind of keep note on that stuff, and I just thought that was very interesting. I might have to do a poll.
I've noticed that quite a bit too. Even some of my brokers, several of my brokers have been having a lot of upgrades just in like last month actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And looks like Tully Targus in the chat says that yes, Aaron, my credit union's ATMs were down a week ago and 3 weeks ago for several days. And I'm not sure for how long over in Colorado. And then Michael says that I received an email that they were changing the tiers on the savings account to 5 tiers instead of two, but all the interest rates were the same. So it doesn't matter how much is in the account at 1.4%. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of different people mention this even in the chat right now,
And
actively.
somebody was saying, and the FDIC for investment accounts at Wells Fargo. was saying that they are no longer insured. And then somebody said the FDIC at Wells Fargo for your bank deposits are no longer insured.
Fuck Wells
And I was
Fargo.
like, at Wells Fargo. And it's like, are you kidding? Well, you know, the FDIC doesn't have enough to cover the bank deposit assets.
Oh,
I
they're
think
so
they only have
scared. They're so
they
scared. They don't want the public to know about it, but it's gotten out slowly but
uh-huh.
surely.
It's like they only have 125 billion to the how many trillions? Like $9 trillion in bank deposit assets, and they don't have the money to cover it. I'll have
It's
to
going to be
share with you.
ludicrous. It's going to be absolutely ridiculously ludicrous. It's going to
Mm,
be so crazy when it all comes down because it's going to happen so fast.
but
People don't understand like how fast this is all going to come down.
Yeah.
Like I've had people that are like, "Oh yeah, looks like the market's crashing right now." I'm like, "You don't fucking know."
It all happens slowly until it happens quickly. The major parts of the crash happen in the shortest amount of time.
Oh my God,
mm.
Always.
it's going
Always.
to
See,
be
okay.
crazy. It's going to be such a domino effect. Like once one thing, see, again, it comes back to that having your eyes open, having
Mm,
your eyes open. Oh, nothing's happening. You know, people love to black pill. Like that's like oh, I feel shitty about my own personal situation, so I'm going to bring down a bunch of other people. You know, fuck that. Don't deal with those people. Those people are trash. You don't need to deal with those people. Instead, surround yourself with positive people. You know,
mm,
it's just like it's so funny because boss, every time I post anything about you, there is always that one down thumb. And look, we all have
I
our
hear you.
haters. We always look, there it is. Be having a live crossover tonight with Boss and Santa. And there's a bunch of thumbs up and hearts and claps and that one thumbs down. There's that one guy every time. Like and literally every post. Like I could put up a post that just says, "It's Thursday," down thumb. There's that one guy. Like and
Why
I've
are
even
you
posted
here, right?
right after. I'm like, why? I don't even understand. What's so bad? Like, why are you down thumbing on Thursday? It doesn't even make any sense to me. But there's always going to be people like that. There's always going to be those
Yeah.
black pill people. You know, the thing you'll find is that people who are hyper negative like that all the time, they're going to breed their own negativity. They're going to end up surrounding themselves with negative people, and they're eventually karma is going to catch up to them. You know, whether you believe in karma or God or anything else like that, it all comes back. Every last piece comes back. And I think of a couple of people in the community, and I'm going to put the names out because I don't care. I'm not fucking afraid of saying somebody's name and they're going to, oh, my lawyer will be in touch. Well, the simple fact of the matter is Mark Cahodes came out and said, hey, Adam Aaron, you got to do T0, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, no, stand down. Ever since then, he has done literally everything he can to shit on AA, to shit on AMC, and to gather as many people as he possibly can. And this guy was a long known shorter. That's what he is. He shorts. Like he helps to short companies into the ground, basically.
mm.
And you know, he came out, oh, I only do it, you know, to companies that deserve it, and blah blah blah.
Yeah. He's so
Yeah,
righteous,
yeah,
narcissistic.
yeah, he's so righteous. Yeah, you made a bunch
That
of money
deserve
by
it.
fucking
I mean,
destroying the
oh my
company. Yeah,
gosh, it's
you're a real hero there. But anyways, he he literally like did all this, and he's still doing it now. Like he doesn't give up. Like
mm,
he's just still like, oh, AA's a piece of shit, and blah blah blah. And it's like, oh my god, stop being a child.
mm,
But come to find out, T0's bullshit, and it's a big fucking scam, basically.
mm.
Uh,
They just had to
so
shut down their crypto lending, as a matter of fact, because they got
yeah,
massive fines from the SEC.
yeah.
Really?
Yep.
So good call, AA. But
Yep.
then you get, you know, people put frogs on their head and they think they're fucking geniuses or something, buying all their followers. Hey, whatever, you know. I mean, you know, come attack me. I've had some of their shills already attacking me. Oh, what are you hiding? You don't have comments on your channel. Yeah, I don't have time. I don't have time. This
Yeah.
channel is free. I don't charge anybody a penny for it. I don't get any advertising revenue. I don't get nothing. This is just to help people. That's what my channel's all about.
Yeah.
And if see, and you don't know this, Marcel, but Santa, you know all about this. What is the shill ratio on Telegram when you have a comments channel? You've been,
Oh,
oh my God,
jeez.
ads and visit this channel and porn
Ugh,
and fucking everything. I ain't got time to moderate a channel 24/7. I
it's
ain't got time
high.
for that shit. And they're
It's
like,
high.
get somebody, and I'm like, I am not about creating a fucking empire here. I just want to spread the word about AMC, help people understand what's going on,
Hmm.
educate whenever I can, and have
Hmm.
a good time while I'm doing it. I'm
Yeah.
not looking to start a third or fourth fucking job here. So get over it. And they're like, oh, you're hiding something. Yeah, that's called a straw man argument.
Yeah.
That's you're just trying to get me like, okay, fine, I'll put comments on. Yeah, so then you can come in and shill and say, oh, Adam Aaron's a piece of shit and blah blah blah. No, fuck that. Get out of here. My channel's about positivity.
That's right.
Hmm.
I love it.
Negative.
Hmm.
There's no negative fucking nothing on my channel ever,
Yeah.
ever. It's
No,
always
you've
all positive, and that's the way I like it, and that's why the comments are off.
well, if I can add to that is that if you don't have haters, that means you're not successcul.
You're not
You're
So,
doing it
doing it
right.
wrong. Yeah.
yep. So to kind of summing it all up here, congratulations.
We
You
all
both are
we all
very
get our batch of
successful.
haters for sure.
Yeah, so it's like, come on, bring it on. I had to actually leave Twitter because it was getting really bad. I mean, like really bad. And I thought, you know what? I don't need this energy. I also needed to replenish. I couldn't go, snowboarding or skiing. Yes, we have our ocean out here, but it did rain, so I couldn't go in the ocean. And so I just kind of said, but I was even like commenting on some people and saying, hello, and I was just saying hello. But I think they took it as hello, and they're like, "Screw you, Santa, you suck." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know it, right? I'm gonna unfollow you." I go, "You do that. Go ahead. Excellent. Block me while you're at it." I think and they don't like that. So we have to stay positive. But I have a little fun. So I thought I was having a little bit too much fun, probably not being very Christian-like, so I left. And I'll be back. So I just
Yeah,
gave
well,
myself a
they
little
must have
Twitter
thought it was an
vacation.
airport.
What?
They must have thought it was an airport,
They had to
Santa.
announce their departure.
Yeah, to announce their departure. I'm unfollowing you. Oh my God, I cannot continue. I can't continue without your follow. I
Well,
don't
I
know
saw.
whatever I was going to. I've gotten that too, and it fucking cracks me up. I'm like, wow,
Well,
it
you know
hurts.
how I
It
learned.
hurts so much. I can't deal. Oh,
There was a comment
what?
made, and it was about when we just did our show, and it came out like 2 or 3 days later, and that person was replying to something I had posted, and I thought, okay, so I went ahead and looked, and that person was following both of you, and I thought, well, then why follow them? If you have an issue with any one of us, why are you following us? And I thought, oh right, never
It's
mind.
so they can hate. It's so they can
Isn't
see
that
what you
sad?
post,
It's
find
so
things to
sad.
hate, and comment negatively on. That's
Yeah.
what it's all about. It's like, why are you following? And that's honestly that's one of the big reasons why Twitter is as popular as it is.
Is it? Oh my
Unfortunately,
God, it's
now,
so
now there's
crazy.
been some changes though,
Oh yeah.
because I'll tell you right now, it is different than it was. Now,
Mhm.
granted, there may still be some shenanigans, some chicancery, some bullshit, basically with the algorithms and the ghost banning and all that kind of shit. But for the most part, you can pretty much say what you fucking want now, like, and not
Yeah.
be totally fucking disappeared, which is
Right.
which is cool. I mean that, like, for the longest time you feel like you're gonna walk on eggshells. You'd be like, "Oh my God, I said, I said something about a booster. I might go down. If I leave it up, I'm gonna get deleted." Like, you know, it's funny because I just recently retweeted, I think it was Zuby, and he was talking about how, the response to COVID. He wasn't even saying COVID was bullshit. He just said the response to COVID was bullshit. And
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I can get on board with that. So I retweeted it. There was so many fucking follows on that. Oh my God. There was so much interaction on that tweet. And I'm going to say now, compared to what it used to be, like 98% are like, yeah, it is bullshit. Oh my God, I can't believe like this and this and this. And they're posting stats and they're posting links and all this stuff. And it was all to this one guy who allegedly, allegedly was a pastor. And he said, oh, COVID's BS, huh? Tell that to the 15 people and their families that I buried. So I'm thinking you buried 15 people and their families, like the whole, like you, if one person in the family gets COVID, you bury the whole family. Is that how that works? I don't
Oh no,
understand.
I.
Is it that
Oh.
contagious, like plague style? They got to burn them in a pit or something? I mean, what?
Uh,
So it was obviously a bullshit statement. Uh,
mm,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? But everybody was like it was good to see in a way the people come out, and of course there was always the obligatory person that comes. I can't believe you're so heartless to give this guy a hard time, and people would come back. Actually, they didn't back down off of that. They're like, he's obviously full of shit. Like he's
Mm,
obviously like this isn't real. Like he just made that up,
mm,
Happens a
and
lot.
it happens a lot. But the one thing that's different now is it's not just an echo chamber of the sheep, so to speak. There's
mm,
actually like there's a lot of people speaking up, and they're not afraid to speak up. And I've even found myself not afraid to like comment and say, "Hey, this is bullshit," and actually call it out, and
yeah.
not be worried about it. And that's when people are not worried about instant repercussions or any kind of that kind of bullshit. That they're free to speak their mind more, and that's the one thing I'm liking. Just as a quick side note, though, before I hand it over here, I have a bunch of people. My bank as well. 2 weeks ago, over a weekend, 2 to 3 more nights. Redding, California, 3 more banks that were upgraded. Um, Credit union was down for 2 days for upgrades.
Damn.
There's a whole bunch.
So it's because the quantum, and that's what our friend has been talking about, because the new currency's coming in, and then the quantum financial system was supposed to kick on Tuesday, but there's a she says a 1 week, so I'm going to say 2 week delay on that,
Hmm.
on getting it out. They're also preparing for when the government runs out of money, which is
Okay.
supposed to be June, July of this year, and again, that's what the banks are really afraid of because I mean, what else can they do? Trump's already not the president in their eyes, so what else can they do? I mean, and Joe's too dumb to figure anything out. Well, this fake Joe. So,
Fake Joe. Yeah.
yeah, fake
He's the
Joe
Joe.
only guy I
Robot.
can know that can consistently fall upstairs.
And then who was
That's
it?
good.
Was it him that fell downstairs the other day?
No,
Yeah,
that
he
wasn't
fell down
him.
and up,
But
both
that's
actually.
funny.
There's two different staircases.
And that was a slide. Okay, back to this chart. Sorry,
Oh, that
Marcel.
was
We
funny as
definitely would.
hell. Let me just say thank you to Grandpa Barney and MC. Appreciate your contribution. You guys are too kind, and it's good to be home. I was on vacation for the last couple of weeks. That's why I haven't really been around. But it's great to be back, especially here with Aaron and Santa Surfing. It's great to be back here with you guys. But yeah, as we were talking about Libor, the government of Iran basically, when this first started in the 60s and 70s, they were looking for an $80 million loan, and they needed a bunch of different banks to diversify it, right? So they secured from banks worldwide, kind of intermingling and getting the money from all sorts of different funds. And they were charged at a rate calculated every several months using the average of the bank's funding costs plus a spread. That's where London interbank offer rate came in, Libor. And this new financial structure pretty much set the scene for Libor to become a benchmark for interest rates and the birth of a myriad of elaborate financial instruments, most of which are the primary cogs in today's financial system, and that's what caused the 2008 crisis. Then in the 70s, the markets for these instruments,
Mhm.
I'll just leave it here for now. They started coming out with these forward rate agreements and interest rate swaps, and they skyrocketed in the size and volume to price in billions of dollars of derivatives using Libor. Later on in the 90s, Libor was being used worldwide as the official standard for interest rates, and a lobbying group called BBA worked with the Bank of England to select a panel of banks, of course, that would report the lending rates. And as you can see here, every morning a group of banks from around the world submits estimates of the lowest possible interest rate at which the institutions can borrow money from another bank on that day. There are 5 panels, each for a different currency, and every panel produces a rate for 7 maturities, for a total of 35 rates a day. And here you can see what the rates were for, 35 rates, from July 29th of last year for U.S. dollar denominated loans with a 3 months maturity. This was adjusted supposedly to prevent foul play, but as the subprime crisis started folding out in 2008, Libor was basically helping to set interest rates around the world with mortgages and loans, student loans, derivatives. And the financial crisis spelled the beginning of the end for Libor, right? And that's kind of where we're getting at now with all the issues going on with hedge funds and the financial system and the current issues that we're seeing now with the United States dollar.
Interesting.
Sorry, my dog's freaking out. So in '08, the rate went absolutely insane, and the banks began to understate their Libor submissions in order to appear financially sound. And a few years later, there was another, scandal exposed, and despite prior warnings from insiders and whistleblowers, traders at these panels of banks, they could underreport or overreport the interest rates they submitted, earning millions of dollars from a mere 1 basis point error, similar to the way that short hedge funds can self-report their short positions. So after that scandal was revealed, financial authorities took action, saying that Libor had to be eliminated. But because of the perceived risk in the uncertain times, most of the major banks agreed, and they began working together with regulators to reduce the systemic risk. They didn't like the idea of loaning money to each other on an unsecured basis, which is what Libor was trying to estimate, and they realized it was wiser to lend securely against safe assets like mortgages and such, especially those backed by entities that would rescue them when these issues occurred. In 2017, they finally decided to use the Alternative Reference Rate Committee. It's basically a conglomerate between market participants and the Federal Reserve, endorsed by the Secured Overnight Financing Rate, known as SOFR, as Libor's replacement. So that's how we came out with SOFR. SOFR is the broad measure of the cost of borrowing cash overnight against United States Treasuries. It's an asset that market participants consider to be quite good collateral. And
Explain that one more time. I'm sorry.
SOFR is the measure of borrowing cash overnight against U.S. Treasuries, such as reverse repos, right?
Okay.
And this type of a secured loan is known as a repurchase agreement or a repo, and this is an example of one of the repos here. In step one, a cash borrower pledges an asset to obtain cash equaling its value. And step two, the cash lender keeps a record of interest payments over the term of the loan. And step three, at the end of the loan, the cash borrower repurchases the asset plus total interest. So they're basically just moving these treasuries and money back and forth from one to the other. And that's where things haven't really changed. Repos are loans designed to reduce risk for the lender. Borrowers obtain cash for a fee, but also pledge safe assets as collateral to reduce potential losses from a default for the lender. So SOFR is one of many rates that is used by the Fed when they administer in money markets and money market funds. And in reality, it's just a series of acronyms representing different rates of lending on cash. Right? And the reason being is because money market funds primarily are the ones that use the reverse repo the most. So these funds, as you can see here, like IORB is interest on reserve balances, EFFR is effective federal funds rate, and so on. So you get it. So they're just using, SOFR, secured overnight funding rate. And here you got the tri-party general collateral rate. So they're just, kind of rehypothecating assets over and over again in the financial system. And so by enabling these money market funds to use these as redemptions and charge investors to redeem them during times of market panic, the rules increased the security and utility of government money market funds, and investors rushed into those money market funds. That's how come we see such a big jump into them like you would see here. This was an example of money moving into them, into money market funds constantly here.
Well, I remember back in 08, 09, people were putting money into treasury bonds, and they knew they were losing 25% because the market it just kept going down. I think it was in 07 and 08, and I thought that's ridiculous, but they would have rather, I don't know, it was kind of some crazy. And back then, I don't see things, I didn't see things the way I see it now, because we're a lot more prepared now.
Yeah, things have
You know,
changed.
yeah.
Things have changed. We've learned. We're learning
Yeah, that's just, I
constantly.
mean, we had our ape education from that time. And I don't know when the ape movement really hit, but I think it's fantastic. Okay, go ahead. Never
Oh,
mind.
that's cool. No, I agree with you. And so here you could see, you might not see it on my screen here, but during the COVID meltdown, the participants in the in the markets just jumped. They pulled their money from the prime money market funds, and they parked it into government money market funds because it's going to be backed by the federal government. That's why I always say, Jerome Powell, get the fucking money printer out, because they're gonna fucking need the money printer to bail out all these banks when this finally does occur. And the United States government has been, increasing. Let me get this other image for you guys. Check this out. So you can see here, the total big bank assets in red. Projected marketable treasuries are these dotted lines, and the marketable treasuries outstanding are the blue ones. And it's been constantly increasing, about $1 to $2 trillion each year.
Wow.
The world is getting this supply of cheap money, and investors are getting baited by these United States treasuries, and they continue to pick them up at basic almost at whatever cost. And some Fed officials are suggesting that QT could last a lot longer than previously signaled by the Fed, because as you guys can see from what we said earlier, the gross domestic product is not as hot as it should be, and it only increased at an annual rate of 2.7% instead of what they previously thought was higher. And PCE, core inflation and PCE are much higher than previously estimated as well. So they're going to have to tighten more and for longer than ever anticipated. So the private sector will have to absorb more of this, this government paper when they cannot absorb it anymore. And this kind of helps with the transition to a secured lending standard. And the United Kingdom is using, a new secured rate known as SONIA. And Canada is going to transition to one known as CORA, CORRA. And then Australia is using one called AONIA, AONIA. And, Mexico and Singapore are coming out with their own.
And the U.S. is using one that's PONZI.
Yeah, they sure are. Imagine. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. I love the dynamics of talking with the two of you, because imagine you both are. I mean, I feel like such a third grader listening to both of you,
Nah,
and it's
stop.
no, but no, no. I really want to understand this. But imagine when the banks, as crazy as this sounds, when the banks don't have any interest to charge their customers anymore. That's what I share on my shows, how are we're leading into a world that is constitutional, where you can only buy using gold and silver, and you can't coin money, and you can't have notes of debts. And so I'm gonna, well, I can't share it because my sharing screen doesn't work. I can drop it to you though, Aaron. But anyway, it's kind of everything's going back to the Constitution. All right, never mind. I just wanted to kind of plant that seed for everybody,
No, for
because
sure.
that's the direction that we're eventually going to, which is going to be phenomenal, because then we won't need banks and we just pay cash. And I believe the only bank that will be around will be Wells Fargo, and all the others will get, I guess, be a part of Wells Fargo, but still have the face of whatever bank you have right now.
That's the kind of situation that's going on right now. Is there's a change in the financial system out of sheer necessity. They've almost completely ceased, issuing bonds based on Libor in favor of the new, risk-free benchmarks that they're currently using, known as RFRs. So you can see them here in blue, kind of really overtaking Libor and Red. As of 2022, there's nothing being issued in Libor. They're switching over to different forms of issuing bonds and such, and this all kind of goes back around into these money market funds and such. Uh,
Mhm.
so they're leaving prime market funds and they're going to government-backed money market funds because the vast majority of educated investors are aware that this is an inevitability, and the same thing goes. The same thing is happening here with short hedge funds and family offices and all of the prime brokers and broker dealers with which they're intermingled and intertwined, and it's a really serious problem, you know. So
Yeah,
it's really going to trigger a real shock in the financial markets and even the supply chain and all sorts of other things, that we can barely fathom. It's hard to explain and put into words.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's people need to be prepared, and that kind of leads into something I'd like to talk about real quick. In
mhm.
that, people should be prepared, and how do you be prepared? And people in my channel get it from me all the time. I talk about it all the time. Be prepared. What do I mean by be prepared? I don't mean like have your Swiss Army knife on you at all times, and where recite your Weebelow's Boy Scout pledge. Um, no, what I mean by that is have cash on hand. Always have cash. Always. I know some people who live on their debit card. If shit goes down, your debit card ain't worth nothing. It's trash. If there's a
yep.
bunch of different situations where if you're reliant on debit card and you don't have cash, there's a bunch of different situations where you're in a bad situation if you don't have cash. And the situations are simply like this. There's a massive internet outage for an extended period of time, a day or two, even if it's not, whether it doesn't have to be a worldwide outage, even if it's just a local outage for multiple days. You look at all these factories and shit that are blowing up and trains falling off the tracks and oil refineries blowing and attacks on the electrical grid. You think, and especially with the WEF talking about cyber attacks, you think the internet is fucking safe? I'm telling you right now, they're going to attack it. And one of these days, we're all going to be without the internet and we're all going to be sitting at home like, oh my God, cold sweats. Be like, quick, bring me a cold compress. Oh my God, to put me in rehab. Um, but we're all going to be without it for a while. And
Mm.
what does that mean? What does that mean? You
The
need to understand
switch.
what that means. That means your debit card ain't worth a shit. It ain't worth nothing. You go to the store and they're gonna be like, "Oh, our credit card machine doesn't work. There's no internet, remember?"
Right.
And they're gonna
And
be like, "Well, it wants some milk," and they'll be like, "Well, we don't have the slidey things from back in the day where you put the paper in and you slide it over the credit card." I don't know. People don't remember. Some of the audience might be too young for that, but the old thing that sounded like
you're
a
too young for that. You're too young for that.
No, no, I remember that. I used to one of my first jobs out of school. I worked for a clothing store. They used to have those.
Okay.
Um, but
You must have been two.
uh,
Um,
so that's number one is have cash. And
mhm.
how much cash should you have? That's like the next question you should ask yourself. For me, I really think 30-day, like enough cash to get what you need for 30 days is good to have on hand. More if you can. If you can do more, do more. But at least have enough cash to buy essentials, food, fuel, that kind of stuff for 30 days. Honestly, if something serious happens like that, worrying about like mortgage payments and things like that, probably not the biggest worry at that point in time. I think
Mhm.
everybody will kind of get a pass on that, if there's some kind of situation like that. But have cash, have food. That's another thing. Dry goods, long lasting dry goods. Your rices, your pastas, your canned goods, things like that. Have enough food for at least a month for every person in your household if you can.
Mhm.
Okay. And if you're a smart shopper, most people can build up to that. If it's not something you can just go out and just buy, go out and get a little bit at a time. You know, try to do what you can. I understand not everybody's in a situation where they can do that,
Right,
but
right.
have a way to have water. You know, with attacks on the electrical grid that are happening all over the place. A lot of people are in city water. Like me,
Yeah,
I have a
brother.
well, and you need
That's
electricity.
amazing. Yeah, having your own source of water when others people's is poisoned can
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
also be very advantageous. You know.
Yep. Water
Absolutely.
filtration. You know, have a you know, even one of them little cheap $20 emergency radios. I got one of those off of Amazon, I think it was, and it's got a little crank on the side and a solar panel, and it doubles as a flashlight, and it's
Nice.
got the radio, you know, a little what. Have it. And you
Mhm.
know what? If you spent $20 on an emergency radio and you never had to use it, God bless you. God bless
Mhm.
you. That's
Mhm.
awesome. But if you do need it, you're going to be so glad you have it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So, I mean, I've gotten a few solar panels, and like I went on to Amazon and spent like $10 and got a whole rack of lighters.
Nice.
I mean, rack
Yeah.
of lighters, like the
Be
ones you see at
Perfect.
the
prepared.
store, like a big ass rack of lighters. Because I ain't going to be out there rubbing sticks together if shit hits the fan, and I want to light a fire. I'm going to have a whole rack of fucking lighters, and you know, I'm probably going to have to defend my house, and people be coming for my lighters.
And your stash of cash and cannabis,
Well,
they're gonna
I've
come
got the
for.
bow and arrow and the dogs and everything
Solid.
else. So we'll have some fun. We'll get retro on them.
Let me.
Can,
Sorry. Go ahead.
can I
But
add something to this also,
yes,
Aaron?
absolutely.
When you get cash, could you get small denominations too? Because if you do want to just get that gallon of milk and you have $100 bill and the bank doesn't have any change, somebody on our local said that there was a sign at one of the stores that says, please have close to exact change. Their ATMs weren't working, cash, so get smaller denominations so that like five, tens, and even singles if you had to. EBS is eventually going to start coming out. They will be announcing the new Starlink system. And please follow the instructions. There's a three-step process. It will say next phase. When that's
Whoa.
going to happen, it could be this weekend, it could be next week. I don't know. I don't know. And yes, we are going to be moving over to the new internet. So all those things that you were touching on is exactly what's going to be happening
Mhm.
in this the new internet, no underground internet where it's easily hackable, all of that. It's going to be all Starlink and Space Force and connected. So it's going to be, and then it's either going to be free or it's going to be very affordable because the Starlink right now is not very affordable for a lot of people. And in terms
But
of water filtration, the one that's highly recommended and everybody on our locals is getting it is zero water. And the purification on that is very high. And I don't mean to be rude, but I do need to scoot out in about 10 minutes. So I just wanted to throw that out there though. But thanks so much for bringing that up, Aaron. That really
I will
helps.
start the timer. You know, here's another thing that I do, and you know, this is an easy way to have like you talked about, smaller denominations is important. I actually don't spend a single cent of change that I get. And I have four bins. Like I have like you know like the party mix comes in the little barrels.
Yeah.
Like I have four barrels, you know, quarters, nickels, dimes, and pennies. And I just every day I come home, I empty my pocket out and I grab my change and I sort them out into the different ones. And I just have barrels of different change. I've probably got I don't know $800-900 worth at this point. I mean, obviously it's been over quite a bit of time, but this is an easy way to save without really thinking about it, without trying too hard, you know, without going to the bank. And, you know, this is just another way that you can have, you know, a source of cash on hand without having to, you know, and it's not too painful. You know, I've been there. You know,
Mhm.
I've been totally broke. I get it. Not everybody can just go to the bank and say, "Hey, yeah, I'd like a few thousand.
Yeah.
That should be enough. I should be all right." Shit. You know, it's not
Yeah.
everybody. Definitely not everybody's in that situation. So there's different ways. Save your change. Don't ever spend your change. You
Yeah.
know, take a few bucks every week, whatever it is, but try to have that on hand because it's going to be important. If you have physical silver and gold, try to, you know, smaller pieces like, you
Mhm.
know, little half-ounce coins or quarter-ounce coins, you know, the little tiny ones and stuff are going to cost you more, but in a situation where, you know, you might have to cash them in for food or supplies, it's probably going to be beneficial to have some smaller pieces instead of just, you know, a 1 kilo bar or something.
And
You
they
know, be
might
like,
be in
I'd
more
like a
demand as well.
you're gonna have like a little, like a chisel and a hammer, and you're just gonna kind of scrape some off in little curly things. Um, so yeah, it pays to, and this is not like doomsday prepping. I know some people, they get all kind of weird about it. Oh, you're fucking doomsday prepping. No, it's just
No.
being prepared.
It's reality.
If you never use it, again, like I said, God bless you. It's awesome, but
Mm,
have it on hand. It's
mm,
important.
mm.
All right, if you
What's
don't,
this?
let me jump in here, just to wrap up on my long-winded point here about SOFR and Libor. Let me try to take like 4 or 5 minutes to explain real quick. So
You two
everything.
can continue. You two can. I just have to get out.
He wants
Unfortunately.
to go too. He was up at like 2:30
Oh,
a.m.
that's right. You were up at 2:30. Okay, never
That's
mind.
cool.
Okay.
That's cool. Oh yeah, you can go if you have to. I understand, Santa. No worries. But yeah, basically the transition here from Libor into SOFR is completely reversible. As I showed you on the last chart, Libor completely drained off, and in 2022, look at what happened. SOFR just took off, and it's just
Mm,
kind of going from there. And the options market and the major influences on stock prices, the appetite for these derivatives continues to grow, and since CME Group enabled SOFR options trading in May of 2022 as well. The volumes have greatly exceeded what was once the euro dollar options, like Libor. But now they cover almost 25% of the daily repo volumes, as you can see here.
mm.
And the number of repos traded daily worldwide is around $4 trillion. Around 2.1 trillion or so in one direction, and then back in the opposite when the
Is
reverse
that
occurs.
daily? Even now?
Daily, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and so there's a few like serious issues that still remain there, and the problem is that it hides the systemic risk. During the COVID crash, LIBOR rates skyrocketed above the federal funds rate, uh, showing the cracks and the stress in the unsecured debt markets. Whereas SOFR did not. It failed to show the turmoil, and so if an actual similar scenario happens, you can
Hmm.
see here with the BSBY versus the USD 3-month LIBOR rates. They're very, very closely intertwined. That's the Bloomberg index. It's almost perfectly tracked LIBOR, excuse me, during the COVID-19 pandemic, market panic and the pandemic, allowing these people to observe the financial issues, unlike SOFR. So it's almost hidden. So $74 trillion of LIBOR loans are estimated to mature after June 30th, 2023. $74 trillion of LIBOR loans are going to mature uh, June 30th of this year, and when LIBOR is
Wow.
officially repealed. And fallbacks have not been stress tested. They have not been stress tested. So they don't know what's going to happen come June 30th, 2023. And as for SOFR, it's got a lot of issues itself, and it's a very deeply held issue within the monetary system with collateral shortages. So there's the systemic failures of these daisy chains, as you can see here, formed in the repo markets,
Hmm.
and where they tend to occur during market panics. Market makers, within limits of regulation and their risk appetite, use the same asset to fund multiple trades. This is called rehypothecation, and that's what occurs all the time with the repo and the reverse repo. And it's the same thing that's happening with blue chips and stocks and other equities all around the world, and they're used to short silver, gold, and meme stocks and other heavily shorted stocks. But this only works for so long. When the actual chaos happens, when panic spreads for whatever reason, a rush for collateral could cause the chain to fail. And as we've seen in many recent, times, when these daisy chains begin to unwind, like in 2008 or 2020, investors will prefer to hoard collateral, just like you're saying, Aaron, and you, Santa. People will want their cash and their silver and their gold and their real estate, etc., and all their other tangibles, food, and they will not be able to provide the necessary collateral to maintain their short fucking positions. And that's why we're going to be so motherfucking rich. And a lot of people still don't fucking understand that. And it's only after the Federal Reserve jumps in and pivots, will sentiment begin to change. Ultimately, the major issue here, and the price for greater financial security, is the linkage between the instruments that move our global monetary system and the powers that oversee them, the Treasury, the Federal Reserve, and it's occurring in every aspect of finance, even in America's sovereign debt markets. The
So
real
I have
quick,
a question.
let me just
I have a
finish up
quick.
here. The
Oh, I'm sorry.
global
I'm sorry.
financial
I just had a.
collapse will be one of the most influential shifts in monetary history. Everything
Okay.
from meme stocks to silver, gold, cash, Libor, SOFR rates, real estate, you name it. All of the major players went from being practically invincible to being incredibly risk averse and moving all of their fucking money into these, government backed money market funds. And it's been the same thing. Now only large interventions are gonna change this. So the cheap loans, the age
Yeah.
of cheap loans is over. It's gone.
Okay.
And so now you're gonna have shadow banks and money market funds and securities dealers absorbing most of the emerging hazards, and they're heavily supported by United States Treasuries and other state issued assets. So to stabilize the monetary system is still at the government level, but comes with an increase in power and control and the increased reliance on the United States government securities to back the majority of the loans globally, leading to one outcome. And since the Fed is becoming the only entity capable of restoring confidence in a crisis, it's going to become more encompassing and take over more of people's lives. And that's where we enter the central bank digital coin. So I think
Interesting.
it's all fucking linked. It's crazy.
Well, this is okay. So this is, I didn't know about this. The $73 trillion in Libor loans mature at the end of June.
Yeah,
Isn't that the same amount of time? Isn't that the same time that the government runs out of money? Isn't that the same time when Brian Moynihan's going to start weeping in the middle of Wall Street? Isn't it the same time where, I mean, there's a lot of the mid-June. And you know what's also interesting? Did you know they are going to start a whole slew of Gitmo trials in the middle of this month because they have a new courtroom? So, well, all
is that
those that
right?
committed financial treason, yeah, they opened up the new courtroom. It's going to open up next month, and whether they're starting trials next month is another story. But they have announced that for 2 years now, quietly. But so, will all of those that committed financial treason end up through these Gitmo trials? I mean, I don't know. Everyone's kind of getting all the bankers. Everyone seems to be really
It's
nervous.
insane.
Okay, is this Aaron posting this?
That's
Yeah,
great.
they
Marge
want
is
out.
here.
That's that's where it's all going to end up. That's I
Mm,
mean, Marge is going to be gone for sure.
Hmm.
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean it's there is they can't get out of this. They can't. They
Mm-mm.
just can't get out of this. They're in too deep, and they just keep digging deeper. And everybody's like, oh, they can just short forever. No, they can't, because there
Mm-mm.
gets to be a point where there's no liquidity left, and they're very close to that. Look at what my bank sent me. My bank said, hey, we'd
Yeah.
love to have your deposit because we're really hurting for deposits. Hey guys, I don't have like fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not like they're soliciting money from people with a shit ton of money. I don't have that big of an account. So if they're reaching down to my level to grab funds, how hurting are they for liquidity?
Mm,
Think about that for a minute.
mm, mm.
You know what I mean? Like really, really think about that for a minute. And I mean she's a that's one thing about Maine people. They're very we don't bullshit for the most part. We're
Okay.
pretty straightforward about it, and she doesn't bullshit with me either. She's done a lot of my business stuff and whatever.
Okay.
And for her to just come right out and say that's not a bullshit statement. She's saying, "Hey, we could really use your deposits so we can stay solvent,
Well,
basically."
see, this is scary because what circulated yesterday was a video about a man who made a deposit at Wells Fargo for $33,000 because he was trying to get no, this was a year ago that happened. The next day, that Bank of America that he made the deposit went out of business, or they closed their doors. So he went to the next B of A. They said temporarily closed. He went to the third B of A. This is up in Northern California, the East Bay area. He went to the third bank, and the manager says, we can't help you. He ended up seeking the help of the local news network, the Treasury Department, and
Damn.
somebody else. And after a year, he finally got his $33,000 back. But that was a year ago, and the news just reported it. And then earlier this year, they were reporting about the B of A customers losing small amounts of money, like $1,500, $1,800 out of their accounts. But that you just never, in my lifetime, I've never seen that happen before. It's not like this. And I mean, I'm just, my jaw has dropped when you were talking about this, though, Marcel, about the LIBOR maturity date and the amount. That
74 trillion.
That's
$74
just
fucking trillion
That's
dollars.
insane.
That's
It's insane. And like you said too, Aaron, is there's just no way out. They're stuck. This is it, and they can't get us to sell our ape shares. How many? You know what I'm going to be interested in seeing? How many articles are going to come out saying the ape stock sucks? You know, AMC, or no, they're going to have like a probably like, oh, big time investor for ape just sold all his shares of stock. You know,
Oh no,
through an
they'll do
unknown
that at a
source.
low number. Yeah, they'll do that at a low number, like at 50 or something. They'll find somebody that sold, 20,000 shares at 50, and this person became a millionaire at 50. Good thing they did it before it falls through the floor. Like they're gonna pull that shit. Of course they are. The big thing they're gonna do, and they've already kind of done it a couple of times, it didn't stick, but they're gonna blame us for the crash.
Oh,
They're gonna say
sure.
it's our
Oh,
fault for the
oh, for
crash.
sure.
Bring
And
it
why
on,
would it
bring it
be our
on.
fault? Here's their reasoning, and this is going to make no fucking sense at all. But this is what they're going to say, and unfortunately, the sheeple will believe it. But basically, they're going to say, because we bought and held AMC and didn't capitulate, so we didn't sell. That's what crashed the market. It's not the shorts. It's not the people who are shorting AMC, the market makers, the hedge funds, all those people fucking with the price and shorting it into the ground and holding it too long and being stubborn and thinking they're fucking smart money. It's not them fucking making a bad play. It's us because we bought and held something. Are you fucking serious? Forever. And I mean forever. Like my grandfather played around in stocks a little bit, and he always said the best way to play in the stock market is how? Anybody who has any age on them whatsoever, what have we always been told? What have we always been told about the stock market? Find a stock you like, buy it, and hold it.
Hold it. Yeah.
That's what we've always been taught. And now that we're actually fucking doing it in mass, it's pissing them off because we got them so fucking trashed. They're done. They are done.
Yeah.
Done.
So the next time we have a Zoom call, we could have a whole new world.
Yeah, no shit, right?
I mean, it's yeah, this is incredible. Okay, guys, you guys can continue on. I have to get going though.
Thank you,
It's
Santa.
date night with
You've
us.
been
Oh, it's so
amazing.
good to see you. Thank you
It's great
so
to be
much.
here
I
with you,
really
too.
appreciate your information. You just blow my mind. I'm going to watch the rest of this video when you two after I leave. But I'm going to leave this open for you guys. All right. Thanks so much. God bless you. Have a beautiful week. Thanks again.
Make sure you guys
Aloha,
check out.
Santa.
Make sure you guys check out Santa Surfing Telegram channel. I'm sure Woody and myself will both put up links to it in our respective Telegram and YouTube channels as well. Thank you very much, Santa Surfing. Appreciate you. But yeah, hey Aaron, real quick, my friend here, Aaron / Woody, he's got a Telegram channel as well. I'll put links up to that also. But I wanted to mention, like you were saying earlier about the lawsuit against AMC. What are your thoughts on that? Because I wasn't streaming right when you started speaking about that, so I'd really like to get your thoughts on that, brother.
Let me bring that up. Hold on here a second.
From what I'm seeing, it's pretty much all BlackRock. Is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty much bullshit, is what it is.
That's what I thought.
Let me bring this up here. Hold on a second.
While he's doing that, I just want to say thank you to Average Ape, thank you to Grandpa Barney, everybody else here in the chat. We see you guys, we hear you. Thank you for your commentary and your kind words.
Grandpa reached out to me after after our last roundtable discussion, and he's a cool dude. I like him. I appreciate everything he said. He was super nice guy, really awesome. Just like, I mean, for the most part, 98% of our community is really cool people.
Yeah.
So, and he's definitely one of them. So,
I agree.
Shout out to Grandpa. I like him a lot. Let me share this post right here. Share. All right. Can you see that here? This is
yeah, brother.
This is congrats, Short. You waited so long that they are now going to throw your lawsuit out the window. March 10th, officially done. Hey, Al. Al who? Who's he talking about? I have no idea.
Oh, gee.
Apes are everywhere, even in the courtroom. Shorts can go kick rocks. Let's go, apes. Thank you, Big Joe and the others for the info. And basically what it says is AMC put them on the spot. First, they said in court, "Why did you wait until now to file this lawsuit when APE was distributed in late August?" Okay, so that's number one. Filing documents came out in December, January, and February about the vote, and they waited until right now.
Surprise,
They also
surprise.
wanted to have everything dealt with on March 8th. Allegheny said they needed more time. Judge says, okay, court date set for the 10th. So he gave him 2 days.
That's great.
AMC
Judge said,
offered to
"Fuck
hold
you."
off on the conversion and split if the vote is a yes, but the judge wants a resolution by the 10th.
Fuck
So
yeah.
AMC even offered like a, hey, we'll even hold off on the actual split and the merge and everything, a little bit, give it a little extra time. And the judge is like, nah, let's just get this over with now. So to me, the whole Allegheny saying that they were bringing a class action suit is the most ridiculous. Like, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, these guys have 0.01% of their portfolio is fucking AMC.
0.01%. What a fucking joke.
0.01.
Yeah.
0.01. It's like 20,000 shares of AMC, if that.
Shit. I know a lot of people that have a lot more than
That is not a class. You
No.
need a whole bunch of people. Like, and way more than 20,000 shares. Holy
Yep.
shit. So the only reason this happened, and I was talking about this before you hopped in, is one of the things that people need to understand, and I really need people to like try to understand this, and everybody really should understand this, is that right now, Marcel, I could go and file a pro se court on you, for example,
Oh, yeah.
saying, Marcel, I'm doing a class action lawsuit against Marcel, and here's why, and just write a whole bunch of horse shit in there. And the judge would be like, this is bullshit. He'll throw it out.
Yep.
He'll throw it out. Or never hear it, or never even fucking look at the thing because it's bullshit. But the thing that people need to understand the most is that if you go look in the court paperwork, you'll see that filing in there. That filing will always be in there. Even if it gets thrown out, even if it's bullshit, that initial complaint, that initial filing of that lawsuit will always be there.
Mhm.
Like, there was a year and a half ago, there was a lawsuit that came out of New York, and everybody was passing this paperwork around like it's a real case that was going to happen. It wasn't a real case. It was not a
bullshit.
real case.
Yeah.
And maybe, I bet you saw it too, but allegedly it was like the Epstein clients. It was like Beyonce and, Tom Hanks and all the people that went on the Lolita Express. Like, they were all on this lawsuit.
Yeah.
And it was like people versus, all these people and 500 Jane Does, and everybody was passing this fucking court paperwork around. It was not a real, it was just some fucking asshole in New York who filed the paperwork and then said, oh yeah, go look at the court docket. There it is. See, you can see the paperwork right on there. No, it's fucking horseshit. It's like anybody can do it. It doesn't mean it's going to get heard, and it doesn't mean it has any merit. And that's what people need to understand, is that you could, like, I could go into Microsoft Word and craft a document that looks like a fucking court document. Easy enough. Like, you got to understand that just because something is filed in the court and you can look it up doesn't mean that it's legit. That's, people got to understand that. But you can follow, like, if you find that in there, follow where that leads. Like, is there more? Was there a hearing? Did the judge say something? Was there a motion? Like, is there more paperwork beyond that initial filing? Because that's what they were sending around, was that blah, blah, blah versus blah, blah, blah paperwork, that first paperwork of the suit being filed. And they were using it as, oh my God, like, there was articles about it, and, oh, AMC, the trash stocks, getting sued. No, they're fucking not. They're not.
They're getting sued. It's not going to go anywhere. It means absolutely
It's not
nothing.
going anywhere. No, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Look, can I add something to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. This is actually from the one and only Pantheon AMC that I think a lot of you guys are going to appreciate. He's not in the chat right now, so I can't let him explain it for himself, but he did explain it here in text. I'm sharing what he said regarding the 20% rule that a lot of shills and people are complaining about right now, stating that AMC broke some regulations. And again, that's also absolute bullshit, just like the fucking lawsuit. Pantheon, make sure you guys check him out on YouTube and Twitter, Pantheon AMC. said, the NYSE 20% rule allows companies affected by COVID to authorize and issue new stock without shareholder approval, 20% of the common stock. The rule was put into effect during COVID, so companies did not have to set up shareholder meetings and get votes done while the company has no money due to COVID shutdowns. APE was already created, with 10 million preferred stocks being converted to 1 billion APE units. The remaining 40 million preferred shares were never converted into APEs. The APEs sold to Antera were already authorized but not yet sold. Those do not need our approval for the company to sell. The average cost of APE in the December 22nd filing is 81 cents per unit. Note, the keyword here for the dummies is average, above the minimum price in the 312.03C NYSE rule. This panic over the 20% rule, Rule 312, is yet another example of influencers either, one, not having the ability to understand these rules, or two, intentionally misleading you. Both are highly irresponsible options. Al from Boston is a complete moron who intentionally misleads people. He also claimed that if you do not vote, then your votes will automatically count as a yes vote, which is a lie. Watch the influencers you want, but you are what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
And just to show here, the math is here. The 3 transactions, December 22, come out to an average. Here you go, 1 million at this price, 91 million at this price, 100 million I meant, whatever. You get what I'm saying. It's all on the screen. If you want to read it, you can read it. I'm not going to read this all word for word. But individually, none of these break the 20% rule. Together, they equal a price higher than the minimum price. Okay, and it's really quite simple. It all adds up as a legal transaction. I ask anyone to show me how this doesn't add up as a legal transaction, and they can't, period. So thank you, Pantheon, also for sharing all that information.
But my FUD, bro. Trust my FUD, bro.
Yeah, trust me, bro.
Jesus came to me in a dream and told me that 20% rule was broken and I need to sell at 50 because hedge funds have families.
That's right. And you know what, bro? Well, since you were just telling me that about what we were just talking about moments ago, let's talk about Reg Sho briefly, right?
Mm-hmm.
AMC's been on Reg Sho for how many fucking days now?
15. 16 if it's on the other night.
16 fucking days. You're right. Today, I didn't include today. And, a lot of people are wondering, how can AMC be on Reg Sho for 16 days if they're supposed to close out their positions or cover their FTDs?
Real quick, too, Reg Sho, for those who don't know, Reg Sho is that threshold securities list. So that's,
thank you.
That's Reg Sho.
Sorry for assuming that everybody knows what I'm talking about. My bad. Yeah, Reg Sho is the threshold securities list in which after 13 days, failures to deliver are supposed to be closed out. But for those of you that don't know, GameStop was on the Reg Sho list for over 30 days before it had its run to all-time highs back in January of 2021. And one of the ways they can avoid closing out these failures to deliver for a period of time, not forever, but for an extended period of time. And just really quickly, I'll just read off one of my other notepads here. The stock loan is enormously profitable for broker-dealers, right? When shares are loaned to a short, they're supposed to remain with the short until he covers his position by purchasing real shares. The broker-dealers do one-day lends, which enables the short to identify to the SEC the account the shares were borrowed from. As soon as the report is sent in, the shares are returned to the broker-dealer to be loaned onto the next short. This allows 8 to 10 shorts to borrow the same shares, resetting the show failed to deliver clock each time, which makes all of the counterfeit shares look like legitimate shares. The broker-dealers charge each short for the stock loan, and that is how margin account buyers inadvertently aid the shorts. Plain and simple. And so that allowed GameStop, for example, to be on the Reg Sho list for over 30 days before they ran to new all-time highs in January of 2021. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen with AMC, considering today is February 24th, 2023, and the vote is going to be tallied on March 14th, 2023. So we're looking at not even 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, I mean we're right up on it because there's only 4 days left of February. One thing too, I want to bring up, and maybe I'd like to get your feedback on this too, but one of the things I keep getting asked and keep being mentioned to me, not just in my channel but on Twitter, every almost without fail, every single time I post something about the threshold security list and it fails to deliver, somebody invariably mentions, well, Overstock was on there for over 600 days. Okay. So let me put out what my thought is on
Yeah,
that whole situation.
I'm listening. I'm just laughing because it's
Number
funny.
one, Overstock did the stupid T0 thing that Mark Cahodes wanted to do.
Yes, they fucking did.
So that's number one. Number two, Overstock didn't have a fucking army, a whole platoon +7 of fucking retail investor apes who supported it and are buying and holding the stock and hold the vast majority of shares in the stock. Okay, that's number two. And number three, fuck off.
Fuck off. That's great.
I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I mean, that's really like invariably somebody always fucking mentions that shit. And it's like, it's not the same play. Like, you can't, it's not even close to the same fucking thing. It's not. It's just not. Now,
No,
can
they're
they
completely different
extend it
things.
on? Sure. But it's a totally different animal. It is. It's a totally different animal.
I agree with you there. And if I recall correctly, Overstock owns a portion of T0. If I'm wrong there, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure I recall that Overstock owns a portion of T0, and that's why they
That would
implemented
not surprise me that whole situation was fucking incestuous as well. That wouldn't fucking surprise me one bit.
Yeah, and a lot of people hold Patrick Byrne up to this altar like as if he did something magical for Overstock, when in reality he probably hurt the stock more than helped it by using T0. You know, and Adam Aaron knows this. This is that was not a good thing for Overstock, in my opinion. It was just one of those things. It was the inevitability of the situation of the shorts having to cover their positions eventually on Overstock. And it's a lot worse with AMC because, like Aaron said, we have 4 million plus as of the last share count that occurred last year in 2021, which there have been 3 share counts to my knowledge since January of 2021 that prove that there are over 4.1 million investors of AMC. So that being the case, I think it's only a short matter of time. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, nothing's financial advice, before this occurs again. And just like GameStop being on the list, Reg Sho threshold securities list, for over 30 days before it ran, we're already on day 16, like Aaron also mentioned, of this list. And there are certain ways to avoid this. There are many ways, you know. For example, here, prime brokers may do a buy-in of a naked short position. If they tell a short hedge fund that they're going to buy in at 3:59 Eastern time on Friday, the hedge fund naked shorts into their own buy-in, or has a co-conspirator, you know, another, one of their sister companies do it, and they can roll their position to circumvent Reg Sho. There are so many fucking ways for them to circumvent Reg Sho in the short term, but none of them are permanent. None of them last forever, right?
Well, and I think it's important to mention that, see, this is one of the things that, it's important to know about this, guys. It's important to know that they're going to fight. They're going to use all these little fucking loopholes. They're going to do this shit. We should know that already, and we do know that already. And people who go on and try to black pill people, like, oh, they're going to fucking just make it go on forever. The fuck up with that shit. Get out of here with your negative bullshit. I ain't got time for it. I don't. Like, I really don't. I just fucking block and move on, and then some people are like, oh, well, maybe they had a bad day. I don't give a fuck. I ain't got time for that shit. But one of the things that people need to understand is every one of these moves that delays it, that kicks the can, that does this, shady fucking turning one share into 42 to fucking short with, all that fucking shit that happens, every single one costs money. It all costs money. And with liquidity, and when I say liquidity, I mean cash, like capital, money to do shit. With capital drying up, money is starting to become a premium. And at some point, there's not going to be enough liquidity to kick the can. And that's what we're seeing. These high borrow rates are draining the liquidity. Why? Because the banks need the fucking money. That's why the percentage is going up more than anything else. Besides the fact, because AMC, let's be honest, AMC has been at 100% utilization for over a goddamn year.
Yeah.
A year.
Yep.
A whole year, there's been 100% of the borrowable shares being used. Think about that for just a second. 100% of the shares available to borrow have been used up and eaten up for over a year, yet they're still continuing to short. What does that tell you? Like you got to keep it simple sometimes. It's not fucking rocket science. I know they make it complex. I know they make it difficult, and that's intentional. It's on purpose because if when they make the market difficult with all these fucking married puts and long calls, and they hide the shit in here and they put it over here in a dark pool and they shove it up their ass, and that's where they hide the shares for 3 days, and it comes out and it's actually 4 shares instead, and it's like, oh my god, and you say, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. That's your ass. It's like a lot of echo going on. But anyways, they hide the shares and they move them and they put them all over the place, and it's super complex, and like people write DD posts that are fucking 28 pages long about how they hide shit and move shit around. That all costs money. Every one of those moves costs money, and they're just going to run out at some point. Or somebody is going to say, hey, I'm not fronting you anymore. You need to come up with actual cash.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when shit fucking really blows up. And that's coming. It's coming.
It's fucking coming our way, man. One more thing I wanted to clear up here, real quick before we move on to that one, off of Reg Sho. Look, real simply, one of the prime brokers recently took 1 million shares from cash accounts of the company's founding investors without telling the owners or the stockbroker who represented ownership. The shares were put into Stockland, which got the company off the show threshold list and opened the door for more manipulative shorting. Again, these are all examples of many of the ways that are possible, but that doesn't mean that I expect it to go on forever, because there's no fucking way it can. Nothing can happen forever, in that sense. There's been a lot of questions about the holders of record, because there's been this was released by AMC. It said, as of the close of business on February 8th, 2023, there were 517.5 million shares of our common stock issued and outstanding, held by 16,683 holders of record, and 9.29 million shares of Series A preferred stock, of which 100% were represented by 929.8 million apes, held by 14,823 holders of record. And I'd just like it to point out that it does not mean that those are DRS shares. Okay, it is, as Pantheon stated, that is correct, but not for what you're thinking. A brokerage that holds many accounts is a holder of record. You as an individual is not a holder of record. People who went to ComputerShare are holders of record, and each of our brokerages, like Robinhood, Webull, etc., I don't care what the fuck broker is, there are brokers, those brokerages are holders of record. That number of AMC, 16,683 holders of record, and APE, 14.8 thousand holders of record, does not equal the number of individual retail shareholders. Just the brokerage houses and such, like ComputerShare and Fidelity and Schwab and such. So RBC,
that's just
Fidelity,
another
Libor,
way.
IBKR.
That's just another way that people need to pay attention to who they're listening to. Because people who are like, see, there's only 14,000 people holding AIM. Shut the fuck. You don't know what you're fucking talking about.
It's easy to make that mistake, yeah, but it's not something, you can't look at it so black and white. There's not only 14,000, there's 14.8 thousand companies holding APE that have like retail, like brokerages that are known, and 16 something thousand brokerages that are known that hold shares of AMC and APE, so there was no actual share count done there. But it does prove that out of those, there were 517 million shares of common stock issued and outstanding. And what the takeaway here is that if these 16.6 thousand brokerages hold 517 million shares, well, we own the fucking float, don't we?
We own more than the fucking float.
We own more than the fucking float.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, there is no way they got a full accounting report from all 16,683 holders of record. It's not like every one of them reported back to AMC saying, yes, we have actually 1.9 million shares out to, 42,000. They don't. That did not happen. That type of accounting did not happen. It's just the total. This is how many we issued. Notice that word issued?
Mm-hmm.
That's important. Stock issued and outstanding. And there's 16,683 holders of record. It doesn't say that there is only 517 million shares held by 16,000 people. Like, there's a lot of different ways to misinterpret this. So really try to understand exactly what's being said here. They issued an outstanding of 517,580,416 shares. That's how many should be out there. And there's 16,683 brokerages, market makers, whatever, that are holders of record. And I think I could be wrong on this, but I think institutions are counted as holders of record, or is it the brokerage?
I don't believe so. I believe it's only brokerages, known brokerages like ComputerShare and Fidelity and such. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, as you can already imagine, if they already have 517 million shares, sold, like what are we buying when we buy, synthetic shares? And that's okay, right? Because at the end of the day, we can still sell them for the same amount, for whatever amount we choose.
Yeah, we've got the float more than plenty locked out. I'm not even stressed about that at all. Like, and people who come with, oh yeah, no, there's not 4 million of us anymore. Yeah,
yeah, right.
I don't believe that.
There are more.
Yeah, there's more. I really feel like there's more. I just in my circle, like I challenge anybody and their circle to say my circle's gotten smaller of people who are in AMC. Like, I challenge anybody, like anybody that is involved in AMC, your circle has gotten larger since we've started. I think one of the differences, though, and maybe this is where people are thinking that there isn't as much, is from the super influencer accounts, like when I say this, like the Trey and the Maddie Coors, like those accounts with the several 100,000 followers. Like, Trey ain't around anymore, and whatever, he's not around. But Matt, like, gets a couple thousand watch his live stream, maybe, if he's lucky. But he used to.
No views. He gets no views anymore. People
used to back in the day. Back in the day, like in 2021, in the run up to June, Matt wasn't really a big deal back then. That was more Trey's territory. But either way, like live streams in 2021, you would see routinely 30, 40,000 people watching a stream live. And maybe that's where they
got excited by the numbers, so they had to look for answers somewhere. So those people that are now just sitting on the sidelines that say, call me when the price gets to 50 or 100 or 1,000, those are the people that started jumping in and going on the live streams going, what's going on with AMC? Let me check YouTube. And the same thing's going to happen again. One of these days, guys like Casey Shaw and Average Ape and Bigums and myself, just Aaron and other people, we're just going to be doing our thing, and all of a sudden AMC is going to start running, and you're going to start seeing 5,000, then 10,000, then 20,000, then 30,000 or more people start jumping into these each respective streams because they're looking for answers when things are getting nuts. And I think that we're really short. That's coming really soon, I believe.
Yeah, we're not far off. I mean, the cost to borrow. See, and this is another thing.
Yes.
For people who say nothing's happening, the fucking cost to borrow. Look how much it costs to, and they're like, oh, and again, the black pillies always come back with the, oh, well, that's annualized. Oh my God, that means it's only 7.5%.
Fucking whiny bitches.
Think about if you had a credit card at fucking 900% interest.
Annualized, fucking, right? Think of your APR, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, your APR would be fucking 900%, or a mortgage at 900%. Get the fuck out of here. That's crazy fees. That's not even, like, that's so fucking nuts.
That's fucking insane, dude. Yeah, they keep saying that. Oh, but that's APR, and naked shorts don't have to pay that, and blah, blah, blah. Man, shut the fuck up with your bullshit.
If you're short millions and millions of fucking shares, it don't matter if it's fucking annualized or not. Fucking 900%. Fucking ouch, ouch, ouch. Especially with liquidity being the way it is. It's fucking, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. That cost to borrow, the FTDs starting to pile up. Okay, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Really? Nothing's happening. Look at the fucking cost to borrow. Look at the FTDs. If nothing was happening, if they were in full motherfucking control, if they were in control, they wouldn't let us see FTDs. They wouldn't let us see these fucking cost to borrow. Those numbers wouldn't exist if they were in full fucking control. That cost to borrow, people wouldn't be getting emails from Fidelity saying, hey, please lend us your fucking shares at 100%. Like I saw one of those today, 100% to a retail investor to fucking borrow their shares. Are you insane? Yeah. That's crazy. Like that's a crazy kind of borrow rate. And if they were in control, it wouldn't even be happening. We wouldn't even know about it. We wouldn't even see it. Like it wouldn't happen. It'd be like 0%, 1%, like it was fucking forever. And now think of the June run up. Think about that June run up. We weren't even close to anything like that for a cost to borrow.
Oh, or days to not even close. I think the highest cost to borrow I ever saw back then was around 250%. You know, back in June, back in May, before the May 2021 run up of AMC up to $77, and now we're seeing 990, 1,000% average cost to borrow, and even now, like it's come down a little bit because shares are returned and reloaned and rehypothecated, and people are complaining that the cost to borrow is at 500% or 300%. But what did Aaron just say? Think about your fucking mortgage, right? Okay, so shorting AMC. Just think about your mortgage, and your mortgage is no longer 2.85% or 3.5%. Your mortgage is now 1,000%. Good fucking luck making that monthly payment.
Yeah, make sure you get your fucking PMI.
How many securities sold, not yet purchased, can you fucking sell before you go bankrupt?
It's fucking, it's insane. It's insane. It just tells me that we are, of course, every day that goes by, we're closer than we've ever been before, obviously. But I mean, we're really fucking close to something popping off. The pressure is absolutely immense. And, something I brought up, I don't know if you were here, but the billionaire guy that was friends with Clinton that shot himself, and he's like a big hedge fund guy.
Who hung himself and shot himself at the same time?
He hit himself with an electrical cord from a tree and had a shotgun blast in his chest, and there was no gun nearby. It's a suicide for sure.
Yeah.
All I can think of is the Hillary Clinton eyeball gif, like where she's like looking and then looking away.
Yep.
Yeah. So that kind of shit just doesn't just happen. I'm just telling you, like things like that seem. I mean, they're tragic or whatever, somebody's dead. Obviously, that's never, I mean, regardless of how evil a person is, I don't wish death on anybody. I don't. I'm just not that person. I'm not like, oh, I wish that person was dead. I don't feel that for anyone. I really, really don't.
Better man than I.
It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy all the time, but I am just saying I don't wish death on people. But you have to understand that sometimes when you see these kind of things, a lot of times we are desensitized. We are desensitized to these kind of events happening because they happen so often.
People just go,
yeah, it's another billionaire just shot himself for no reason
and hung himself with no gun.
Nobody saw it coming. Weird. And he knows the Clintons. Oh, weird. Yeah, I see one of your comments, Captain Awesome. It wasn't suicide. It was COVID. Yeah, they took it. He had a gunshot to the head, but they did a rapid COVID test, and it was positive. So that's another COVID death they're going to add to the totals. But yeah, I mean, we need to sometimes look at these types of events and say, hey, there's a little more going on here than what we're seeing on the surface. And I just think the pressure is mounting in a lot of different ways with the banks, the market makers. Some of these big billionaire hedge fund guys. There's a lot of shit that's coming down here real soon. And when it starts happening, hold on to your fucking butt because it's going to get crazy quick. It's going to be super crazy, super quick. You're not going to have to ask, is it happening?
Yeah, you're going to fucking know.
You're going to fucking know it's happening.
That's right, bro. That's right. Average Ape in the chat brings up a great point. He goes, like AMC showed a lot of strength today in light
Yeah.
of the nasty market. I was playing these zero date to expiry options today, puts and calls, and it was a fucking scary one. I'm not gonna lie. I'm all for it, but I just I was throwing money at these zero DTE options, and watching my account just go like up and down, back and forth, and got in and out of them fairly quickly. But I was patient, and it's got a huge look. He's got the fucking heat map right here. That's perfect.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was an absolutely brutal day on the market. I mean, it was just red. I mean, you can see there's some green here and there, whatever.
Yep.
But I mean, the market as a whole just took a fucking beating. It just took a beating, and it was super volatile. And it honestly, it really happened in the pre-market. Like if you look at the S&P,
yeah, it opened
the
up down like 500 fucking points. Some ridiculous
Yeah,
number.
that's a big dump for pre-market.
And AMC was down 3 cents today, 3 fucking pennies.
3 cents,
And after hours
gained.
went up 6 cents. So it went down
Right.
3 cents, and then after hours went up 6. So it's fucking green for the day.
Yeah, yeah. It's just that's a lot of strength, and actually for me, that's one of the more encouraging things I've seen in a while, as far as just the regular type of stock sharing. The price action is to see AMC decoupled from the SPY.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Just-
Because it
That's a
always
big
runs with
deal.
the SPY until it doesn't. And when it doesn't is when we have January and June 2021 type run-ups.
Yep. Yeah, it was definitely independent. Normally, you could throw up the charts next to each other and be like, "Oh, the same chart, like that's the same shit going on. Just it's a little bit different." But
Yeah, and today it's completely different.
yeah,
It's not the same at all.
It's not the same. So yeah, it was good to see that decoupling. I mean, it wasn't dramatic, but it was definitely a very tangible difference between the two.
Yeah, look at AMC compared to the SPY. They're almost running inverse, if you will. It's really
Negative
interesting
beta.
right fucking now on the 5-day chart. Check it out.
Negative beta. Look at that.
Ain't it grand? Yeah, we've had this discussion with several people about negative beta, and I tell them, I'm like, AMC runs with, positive beta with the same as the SPY until margin calls occur, until stock markets crash. And that's what we're fucking seeing now. And see here, these are the huge cause of the intraday, issues right now. SPX 0 day to expiry option volume exploded in mid-2022, coinciding with the listing of Tuesday, Thursday expiry options. I fucking knew when I heard about these Tuesday, Thursday expiry options coming out. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a big fucking problem. And a lot of people think that this is a leading reason for the increase in intraday volatility, and that this is probably going to break the fucking markets. It's like I said, it's all intertwined, it's all intermingled, and as liquidity starts to shrink, market makers have to keep hedging their positions in a shitty environment, which means that zero DTE expiry volume increases, and market makers have to delta hedge, which is having a huge impact on market directional moves. And if you know how to play them, you can make some serious cash. And I'm just trying to rack up cash on these so I can put them in a fucking AMC.
I saw a post earlier, and I don't know if you've seen anything, and I can't find it again. It's killing me too. I saw a post earlier that was talking about what's his name from the Fed. Not
Brainerd?
Yeah, Brainerd.
Yep.
Where he was talking about a pivot. Pivot was incoming, and I was like, really?
Just laughing, right?
Really?
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna do right now. Okay, makes sense.
As we see by the Bureau of Economic Analysis, that fucking, core inflation, PCE, is higher than expected, higher than estimated every goddamn time because they're not doing their fucking job. They're trying to ease slowly. They're trying to appease Wall Street, and it's not going to fucking work. This theory of a soft landing is a complete fucking joke. It's never gonna fucking work.
No, it's never going to happen. They say that so that people don't fucking panic. That's why they don't want people panicking, going on bank runs, selling all their shit. Like they don't want people doing that. So, one thing though, before we wrap up too, I've got a hugely important thing. Oh, there you go. There it is. That's where I saw it. I should have known. Uh, but one thing that's super important, guys, I want everybody to realize is because we are close, I am going to keep talking about this. When you finally do sell, shut your face. Like no one needs to hear about it. Like literally. There's multiple reasons for that. One, I'm sure you guys can figure out. Obviously, you don't want to talk about selling in a squeeze type environment. It's just bad juju. Don't do that. But the other reason is your safety. Okay, I want you guys to be smart. Don't be fucking telling people you just made a shit ton of money. Think. Okay, this is the one time, and I'm going to say this is going to sound kind of fucked up, but this is the one time you should really think like a drug dealer. You've got a shit ton of money. Shut the fuck up. No one needs to know about it. Okay, for real. Like because you're just going to invite trouble. You're just going to invite trouble. So when the time comes, sell, make your money. Do some good things for humanity with it or not. I don't, do what you're going to do. I know for my channel, and I've talked about this before, once the squeeze happens and, we have all this extra money kicking around, my channel's not disappearing. We're going to turn into like a nonprofit, and we're going to do charity work, and we're going to help the homeless, and we're going to actually make sure that money goes to actually help people. And I know a lot of people are on board with that. I got a shit ton of people on my channel on board with it, and I'm excited for that phase. But definitely when it comes time to, I get asked all the time too, when the time comes, can you tell us when to sell? Fuck no, I ain't telling you shit. When MOAS happens, you're on your own. I'm going to try to educate you the best I can. I'm going to try to give you all the tools you need. I'm going to try to give you, what things you should look for, how to gauge different things, different indicators, whatever it is. But there's no way in hell I'm going to tell anybody, here's the time to sell, here's the time to buy. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. Everybody needs to understand that when the time comes, it's going to be just you and that button. And you've got to come to terms with that ahead of time. Have your plan now. Okay? Now it's almost too late to start planning now. Have your fucking plan now. Put your plan together. Okay, for example, I have 1,000 shares. I'm going to split it up into 10 batches of 100. I'm going to sell 100 and this is all just examples. I'm not putting any fucking price targets. I don't want to get messages after, oh, you said to sell at 100. Just hear me out. Let's say I have 1,000 shares. I split it up into 10 hundreds. I'm going to sell 100 at $100. I'm going to send 100 at $250. I'm going to sell 100 at 500. I'm going to sell 100 at 1,000. I'm going to sell 100 at 5,000. Whatever your, quote unquote fucking brackets are, like, get that in your mind as to how you want to execute this. For me, I split it up into chunks because I'm going to cost average on my way out. And that's safer. It doesn't mean I'm not going to get the maximum, but I'm also not going to get the minimum. And I'm cost averaging on my way out.
Exactly.
And that's smart to me because if something fucky happens, at least I've locked some in. You never know. I could get hit in a car accident or something and not be able to complete the rest of my orders or miss out on, whatever reason. Be safe about it. Be smart about it. But have your plan, whatever your plan is, whether it be to split it up, whether to sell it all at one price, whether it's, giving your significant other the password to the Fidelity account in case you end up in a coma or whatever it is. Have your plan now. That way, when the time comes, two things are going to happen. Because you have your plan, you're not freaking out as much. We're all going to freak out a little bit. Okay, we're all gonna freak
Yeah,
out.
we are. We're gonna
But
freak
if
the
you have a
fuck out for
plan,
sure, in a good
if
way.
you have a fucking plan, you're gonna trade on your plan. If you trade on your plan, you're not going to be trading with emotions, because if you let emotions dictate your actions anytime you trade, you're going to have a bad day. You're going to have a very bad day. So make sure you have your plan. Stick to your plan when the time comes, and when you've sold and you have that big number in your fucking brokerage account, number one for me, I'm going to get it the fuck out of my brokerage ASAP, as soon as I possibly can. Why? Because they're going to have liquidity issues next. They're next in line. They're the next people that will have the liquidity issues. Get it the fuck out of your brokerage. Get it to your small credit unions, your banks, whatever. Get it the fuck out of there so you can start working with it. But don't tell anybody. Nobody needs to know. Don't go onto Twitter and I just sold and made $1 million.
I will say, as much as I'd like not to, like Uncle Frank here and other people have stated many times, said Boss Blunts bought $100,000 worth of AMC live on his show. Not everyone who disagrees with you is a shill, and not everything you disagree with is FUD. The hedge funds want us divided. That being the case, like Aaron said earlier, this is not an airport. You do not need to announce your departure. However, I am the pilot of this fucking plane, and I have publicly, on this YouTube channel, purchased $100,000 worth of AMC and APE shares. Therefore, I am legally obligated to inform that same public when I sell some shares. That's why several months back I got quite a bit of heat from uneducated investors that were calling me a shill for saying that. I have tens of thousands of shares. When I sold a small percentage of my shares, I sold 1,998 AMC shares, and with that I purchased just under around 7,000 shares of APE to take advantage of the arbitrage of AMC and APE there. And a lot of people are like, oh well, you sold, like you're a fucking shill, like we're not about selling. I'm like, really? Well, how many shares of AMC do you have locked up? Do you have 100? Do you have 1,000? Do you have 5,000? Because I probably have more than you. So if I decided to sell a small percentage of mine, 1,998 shares total of AMC, to reinvest into my favorite company, AMC, by buying APE shares, which will become more AMC after the reverse split and the conversion, how does that make me a shill for doing something that you can't comprehend?
Well, and that's because they're not looking at it right. Again, people feel like AMC and APE are different companies. They're fucking not. It's the same company.
Same fucking
All
company.
you did was move your money from one part of the company to another part of the company, which is all the same fucking company. So what? People are mad because they sold their ape. The people who sold their ape are the ones that are behind the fucking FUD right now.
Yep.
Because they're mad because
like Maddie Kors.
Yeah, Maddie Kors. Did you see that the witch woman or whatever, the one that would come out and was like she was part of the grand jury for Trump? Did you see her?
No, what's that about?
Oh, you didn't see her.
No.
Let me find that. Yeah, she. I'm gonna have to look back through. She she come out and she was like, "Oh my god, yeah, and it would be so great." And she's like, "Oh, here it is."
Share it up if you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now. Hold on a second. Let me share this here. Share screen, and here we go. So this is what I posted. Yeah, she her name is Emily Kors.
What?
Yeah. And so I was like, Emily Kors and Salvatore put fucking Matt's face on it. It fucking killed me. It killed me.
Great.
And the resemblance is uncanny, though.
Whoa,
actually.
they do resemble each other quite a bit. That's pretty interesting.
Her name is Emily Kors, yeah.
Huh. That's a small world, huh?
Yeah. So that oh my god, that was fucking killing me. That oh my god, yesterday was fucking
so good.
That was so
That's
fucking
great.
funny. But anyways, yeah, that's So yeah, so yeah, Emily Kors.
Don't forget to lick your ice cream, people. Lick your ice cream before it melts.
Mhm. It's so important to have the plan. It really is. Have the yeah. She was the head of that jury apparently for the whole Trump and Georgia thing or something. The head of the grand jury. And like look it up. There's a video clip of her like on CNN. She's a fucking nut job. She is a fucking wacko broad. Wacko. Crazy. Got the crazy eyes. Um but anyway, so yeah, that was that. But you guys, you got to really be careful, and make sure that the information you're getting, even the stuff that Boss and I know Boss will agree with me on this. Anything that we say too, you go do your research on it. Go look it up yourself. Make sure that for you. You're the only person that knows for you. I mean, we can give you an idea of what to look for. Hey, here's what we're talking about. Go research it. Go do your homework, guys. It never ceases to amaze me that a play that can be worth millions and millions of dollars to you, you're not willing to go do 15 minutes of homework. You may not be worth, the millions of dollars from it. Think about it. Like if I told you, hey, put 5, 10 grand into this, do an hour worth of homework every night for a year, and you'll be a millionaire, what would you do? I'd put 5, 10 grand into the fucking thing, do an hour worth of homework every fucking night, and be a millionaire at the end. But people aren't viewing it. Again, it's that scratch ticket
It's
mentality.
ignorance.
It's scratch ticket mentality.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Here's the thing. Ignorance. One of my teachers in high school on day one, Mrs. Bushy, I remember she was a tough old bird. God, what a bitch. But she was a great teacher. She was a great teacher, but wow, what a bitch. Day one, she comes in and the first thing she says is, every single one of you in this class is ignorant. And we're like,
She's
oh
right.
shit. And she says, now, I didn't call you stupid. Now I'm going to explain what the difference is. Ignorance just means you don't know something yet. Stupidity means you don't even want to bother fucking trying. And that's how we started our class with Mrs. Bushy. And that's the truth of it. All of us are ignorant about some things. I'm ignorant, bosses, everybody is ignorant about stuff. But your willingness to go learn, educate, and better yourself, that's what's going to set you apart. That's what's going to make you better. And it's not just in the AMC play, it's in everything in fucking life.
But that's why
Take
we're fucking here, right?
Because that's why I'm here.
Exactly.
That's why I have this channel. It's about educating. It's about giving people the tools. That's why I'm not going to say, hey,
and learning from each other.
That's it. Learn from each other. Learn, grow, be better, because the one thing that can never be taken from you is your knowledge.
Amen to that. Like Aaron just said, we're both business owners, and I'm not here doing these fucking videos just for fun. Although it is sometimes fun and sometimes a chore, but at the same time, I'm here. I'm learning from Aaron and Santa, and vice versa. We're all learning from each other. We're learning from you guys in the comments, and on the Telegram, and on Twitter, and YouTube, and Rumble, and everywhere else. Because we're sharing information together, it allows us to dissect and delve deeper and understand better. And that's where it comes into. A lot of people go, oh, I don't have 2 hours to watch a stream. Yeah, I don't have 2 hours to do a stream. But yet here we are, business owners, people who work every fucking day, who have families, who have lives, who have friends, who have other obligations. Here we are doing our fucking due diligence and trying to share with people that are willing to listen, so that they can go out and verify it for themselves, to make sure to see if we're on the right path, and if they're on the right path, because you shouldn't just take our word for it just because we said so. That's why we put references on the screen, so you guys can go search for it for yourselves as well. And the simple fact of the matter is that if you're not willing to take an hour or two out of your day or out of your week to watch some live streams, or to go, follow up on your due diligence, why the fuck are you invested in the stock market? Like, I'm literally here because I have, just like in business, I'm obsessive compulsive when it comes to my money. If I put my money in a stock like AMC, I'm in business with AMC, and I'm gonna see it through all the way. And if I at any point feel like it's a bad investment, I'm out. But I haven't fucking left. You know, like I said, I've sold shares of AMC. To me, a minuscule amount. I know to a lot of people, 1,998 shares of AMC seems like a lot, but to me, it's not a lot. You know, so I sold them, and then I bought with that money Ape when the price was even lower, when the percentage differential between AMC and Ape was greater than it currently is. And I bought those Ape shares, and then I reinjected more capital on top of that, thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars at this point, and to buy more AMC Ape and AMC One calls. And it's all because I understand where I'm going, where my money is, and what I see for the future. And if you don't understand it, why the fuck are you still here? It's a simple fact.
Some people love blackpilling. That's what it is. So some people they love the black. You want the red pill, the blue pill? Nah, fuck that. I got a black pill. I want to make you feel like shit. No, get the fuck out of here with that. Take your black pill and go shove it up your ass. Get out of here. We don't want it.
Phil for real said he's holding until they get that goddamn money printer out. That's what I'm talking about, Phil.
Nom 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 nom.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean it really is, guys. We're so close to fucking winning. We are so motherfucking close to winning. Oh man, it gets me so fucking
great.
There's times I go and I lay down and I think to myself, God damn, we're gonna have that run up one of these days. And, ooh, I can't wait. Can't wait for that. And it's not just for me, because I've got a family over in the Telegram, and you've met a few of them, boss, and
Awesome
I know
people.
some of your people have heard from them too. Is we got a really good family over here, and I'm so excited because I know what they're going to do. There's so much good that's going to happen from the people over here. And look, don't feel bad. You know, I mean, there's some people that are just going to take care of themselves. That's fine. That's fine. There's a bunch of us that are going to be doing a lot for humanity. And I'm excited. I really am so fucking stoked about that. But as far as, I get that actually, boss. I defend you quite often because I get comments like, well, if you really feel that way, how come you have boss on your show and Mama Boy's a fucking shill? I'm like, the dude's fucking positive all the time about AMC. He's a positive promoter of AMC. What the fuck is your deal? Like, what's your problem? Why do you gotta be like that? Like, and it really comes down to it's either a jealousy factor, or maybe they're just, I don't know, maybe they're just I don't fucking know. They're just a black pill fucking asshole, basically. But it never ceases to amaze me is that I've never seen anything negative from you about AMC. I've never seen you come out and be like, well, AMC is fucking shit. It's trash. It's always, we're going to be so fucking rich. So, like, people like bitch at me about you saying we're going to be so fucking rich. I'm like, no, I think you joined in one of those threads because I was like, fucking boss is on Twitter. Why don't you talk
ask
to him?
him. Just ask me.
Why are you hijacking my thread to say boss is saying we're going to be so fucking rich? We are, but you're not, because you're a fucking asshole. Now get out of my thread. Like, people do that because they just love being fucking trolls. That's just the bottom line of it. They're pieces of shit fucking trolls. And now I just call them what they are. Obvious troll is troll. And they might come back one more time, but then I just hit them with it again. Look, hey, troll away, buddy. And they give up after a while because it's just not fun when you call them out for being a troll, because they know what they are. They do it just to cause the hate and discontent.
Well, cheers to you, Aaron, everybody in the Telegram group, everybody on YouTube and Rumble, everybody watching all over the place. I'm going to drop a link in the comments as soon as this video ends so you guys can go check out the Telegram group. I want to say a huge thanks to Aaron. And just real quick, the reason why we talk about things like everything you've heard on this channel so far, over the last 2 hours, and mortgage applications collapsing to an index level lower than they've been in 28 fucking years, lower than anything we saw in 2008, down 41% from last year, is not because we're negative about AMC. We're realistic about what's happening in our global financial markets. And that means a lot of markets are looking pretty shitty, in my opinion, and several key items are looking very bullish. That's why I think we're going to be so fucking rich. And I wouldn't invest so much of my money in it if I didn't think that was the case. So do your own due diligence. Don't take our fucking word for it. I wish you peace and wealth. Again, huge shout out to Aaron here and the AMC for All Telegram channel. It's a fantastic family, good group of individuals. If you guys like Telegram, please jump on there. I'm not sponsored, or we're not affiliated in any way other than we see eye to eye on a lot of these things going on in the markets. So if you'd like to join, I'll drop that link for you guys right now. Thanks a lot, Aaron.
All right, appreciate you, bud. Hey, everybody, we're almost there. Just hang tight. We got this. We've already won.
Unrealized gains, baby. Thanks, Aaron. Have yourself a great night, brother.
Marcel, have a great night, bud. Oh, glad you had a good vacation. You deserve it, buddy.
Thanks, my man. First one in 8 fucking years. That's the life of a business owner, right?
Yeah, I'm at 11 right now. 11.
Go take a goddamn vacation, please, bro. Come on.
And it's a call center, 24/7 call center.
I feel that.
Island of misfit toys. I love my people, though. I love them.
Hell yeah, bro.
Goddamn, they're a pain in the ass. But,
good to hear. Thanks again, brother.
Appreciate you. Have a good night, bud.
You too. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight. It's been a blast. It's Marcel Kalinovic, Butcher of Wall Street. I wish you all peace and wealth. And have a great fucking evening. Gonna be so goddamn rich. Thank you, Rachel, Bliss, Milty, First Wave, Jim, Average A, Bobby Gray, Still For Real, everybody who's joined us. Phoenix, MC, Man Forever Changed says, the death of the shorts by 1,000 cuts is still a death. Goddamn right. The death of the shorts by 1,000 cuts is still a death. Yo, motherfucker. Always recommend those and awesome. Every day. Appreciate you guys' energy. Holy shit, we're gonna be so fucking rich. Captain Awesome. We're gonna be so motherfucking rich. Great. Damn it, we're gonna be so fucking rich. I want my fucking money.
You're an original,
hey,
aren't
yelling,
you?
Cowboy. Give me the fucking money. Get the goddamn money printer out. Yeah, that was the wrong Santa surfing. My bad. I just realized that too. She's got 187,000 subs, of course. Here it is. Actually, she got 202,926 subs now. Make sure you guys check her out. I'm going to get the right link. Let me delete that one off there.